3 hours after my parents gave the cruise cabin I paid for to my brother's wife, I received an email that made me forget the humiliation entirely. It was a loan statement in my name, except I had never borrowed the money. Then I found another, and another. 12 years of payments, signatures, and accounts connected to my family, all carefully hidden from me. My parents thought taking my cabin would finally teach me to put family first. They had no idea their cruelty had pushed me to check the one place they never expected and uncover a secret that could cost them everything. My name is Claire Bennett. I'm 28 years old, and until that cruise, I thought being the responsible daughter meant keeping quiet when my family treated me unfairly. I had booked and paid for my own balcony cabin 6 months earlier. It was the first vacation I'd taken in 3 years. But while we were checking in, my mother pulled me aside. "Melissa gets your cabin," she said. I stared at her. "What?" "Your brother's wife has been stressed about their business. She needs the balcony more than you do." Before I could respond, my father handed Melissa my cabin keycard. She smiled like this had already been decided. "You understand," Dad said. "Family comes first." I looked at Ryan. My older brother wouldn't even meet my eyes. For years, I had watched my parents rescue him. Rent, car payments, business mistakes. Somehow, I was always expected to manage alone because I was good with money. I could have caused a scene. Instead, I accepted the interior cabin they gave me. That night, while everyone celebrated at dinner, I returned to my room and opened my banking app to review the cruise charges. That was when I noticed a payment I didn't recognize. Loan payment, $684.17. I opened the transaction. The account was in my name. My hands went cold. I searched my email and found an old statement connected to the same loan. The opening date was 12 years earlier. I read it twice, then a third time. I had been 16 years old when someone borrowed money in my name. I barely slept that night. By 6 the next morning, I was sitting alone near the ship's cafe with my laptop open. I searched the loan number first. One account became 3, then 5. By the time I finished checking my credit history, I had found loans and credit accounts stretching across 12 years. Every one carried my name. I downloaded statements, saved screenshots, and created a timeline. The money had paid for things I recognized. My parents' debt consolidation. Ryan's first truck. Thousands toward his failed construction business. Even charges connected to Melissa's new SUV. My stomach turned. This wasn't one desperate mistake. It was a system. Then I noticed something stranger. For years, statements had been mailed to my parents' old address, even after I moved out. Later, the mailing address changed to a private mailbox near Ryan's business. Someone had deliberately kept the notices away from me. I wanted to storm into breakfast and demand answers. Instead, I kept digging. That decision changed everything. The newest loan had been opened only 4 months earlier. $48,000. I downloaded the application. My address, my income, my social security information, and, at the bottom, my signature. Except I had never signed it. I stared at the document until another detail caught my attention. The application had been submitted in person. There was a branch number listed beside the approval stamp. I called the bank. After verifying my identity, the representative confirmed something that made my pulse race. The branch kept security footage for 6 months, and the recording from the day my loan was open still existed. At breakfast, Melissa complained that the balcony was smaller than she expected. I smiled and kept eating. For the next 2 days, I let my family believe I had accepted everything. While they attended shows, ordered expensive drinks, and posted smiling photos online, I followed the money. A friend who worked in financial compliance helped me verify the newest loan. $48,000 had been deposited into an account connected to Ryan's construction company. 3 days later, nearly all of it had been used to pay overdue suppliers, equipment leases, and taxes. Ryan's business wasn't struggling. It was collapsing. Then I found the pattern. For 12 years, my parents had made minimum payments on accounts opened in my name, just enough to prevent collections from reaching me. Whenever Ryan needed money, another account appeared. But the biggest shock came from an email chain attached to the newest application. Melissa knew. 6 months earlier, she had written to my mother, "Claire never checks anything. Get one more loan before she starts asking questions." I read the sentence twice. The woman sleeping in the cabin I had paid for had encouraged my parents to steal from me again. I forwarded everything to an attorney. Then I froze my credit, changed every password, and secured the accounts only I legally controlled. That evening, my family invited me to dinner. I went. I laughed when appropriate. I even watched Melissa order champagne using money she clearly didn't have. My phone vibrated beneath the table. My attorney. I excused myself and answered. "Claire," she said, "I found something you need to see." My parents weren't finished borrowing. Before the cruise ended, they had prepared documents for another loan. This one was much larger. And according to the paperwork, when we returned home, I was supposed to become responsible for every dollar. I left the cruise at the next port. My parents thought I had gotten sick. I let them believe it. By the time they returned home 4 days later, my attorney and I had already contacted the lenders, challenged the fraudulent accounts, and secured every asset legally connected to me. Then we discovered what the newest loan was for. My parents planned to use a small rental property I had inherited from my grandmother as collateral. Ryan needed the money to keep his business alive, and they expected me to sign the final documents after the cruise. I blocked the transaction. The loan collapsed. 2 accounts were frozen pending investigation. My family came home expecting everything to continue as usual. Instead, they found formal notices waiting. My father called 11 times. My mother called 7. Ryan arrived at my house with Melissa and my parents behind him. "What did you do?" he demanded. I opened the door. "Come inside." They gathered around my dining table. I placed 12 years of statements, applications, emails, and payment records in front of them. Nobody spoke. Then the excuses started. Dad blamed Ryan. Ryan blamed Melissa. Melissa looked directly at me. "You're destroying this family over money." I almost laughed. "No. I'm stopping all of you from using my identity." Mom began crying. "We were going to pay everything back. You had 12 years. Silence. I opened the oldest loan application, the one created when I was 16. My father's face changed. He knew exactly what I was holding. "You want to know what makes this worse?" I asked. "I know who started it." Then I looked directly at my father. My father looked down at the table. "I started it," he said. Mom covered her face. 12 years earlier, my parents had been drowning in debt. Dad opened the first account using my information, promising himself he would repay it before I ever found out. He didn't. Instead, Mom helped hide the statements. Years later, Ryan discovered what they were doing. And when his business started failing, he became their biggest reason to continue. Melissa eventually learned the truth.
She didn't stop them.
She encouraged them. "You all had chances to tell me," I said. "Instead, you kept borrowing because you thought I'd never find out." Dad asked me to protect the family. I refused. I gave every document to my attorney and let the banks handle the fraudulent accounts through the proper process. Ryan lost his last chance to save his business. Melissa sold her SUV. My parents drained their savings dealing with the consequences of decisions they had hidden for 12 years. I didn't celebrate. I simply stopped rescuing them. 6 months later, I booked another cruise. Same ship. Same destination. This time, I bought the balcony cabin I wanted. On the first morning, I stood outside watching the ocean, thinking about the cabin my parents had taken from me. Losing it had felt humiliating. But without that moment, I might never have checked my accounts. I lost one cabin. They lost the daughter who had spent years protecting them. And for the first time in my life, everything carrying my name finally belonged to me.